February 7th Caud meeting. We'll call to order. Go around and announce commissioners. John, you want to start?
John Darrow, Caud Commissioner.
Robert Geary.
Daniel Need.
Ken Ellsworth
David Whalen.
and we have city representing. Thank you. All right, is there any, we just talked about revising the order of the agenda for 44 Court Street to be at the end. Is there any other requests to change the agenda order? Okay, all right. So first up is 15 Hawley Street. Someone here in the audience? All right, if you would come down and turn your mic on and just announce who you are. We'll have a general overview from planning, and then we'll give you a chance to comment.
This is the applicant. The Stone Fox has proposed the installation of a new freestanding sign along the property. Freestanding sign is a changeable copy sign and is located along the side deck of the building. The sign is positioned at the southeast corner of the deck, and the sign has the following dimensions: 8 by 4 feet, 10.5 inches deep, and 6.5 feet high.
Do you have photographs of that that we put up? So is it in blue? Is that what I'm? Okay. Right. Okay, all right.
All
Go ahead. Your name is?
Hi, how are you? My name is Aaron Laughlin, owner of Stone Fox. So last time when I called in about this sign, we
Yeah, I
went over
remember
some
now. Yep.
baseline information regarding the historic district on it. I met with Juliet in regards to options on it. And when we spoke, from my understanding was that yellow sign, which I applied for, pretty much under no circumstances would be approved through the historic guidelines for the city in that location, being that it's backlit as well as the copy sign on it and the size. We talked about other options such as sandwich boards and I don't know the terminology, but something like a shadow box, like menu holder with gooseneck lighting that would go up against the fencing. That is something that I'm currently looking at right now. I don't have any actual information on sizing, like dimensions or locations for that for you. But I would like to discuss just a little bit further to confirm that the yellow sign, which I did apply for, would not be approved under really any circumstance within our space that we're looking to put it up.
Okay. And did you have a chance to go and look at the guidelines to try to help understand what to?
I did.
Okay, good. All
Yeah.
right. So you kind of know what we were trying to pull you back into some kind of a guideline that we've been asked to follow. Was everybody present? John, you were missing the last time. Okay, so the previous sign was just a display sign, right? Which we frowned upon, and it doesn't really meet the guidelines. So you had called in before. It was kind of more difficult to talk through the stuff, but he's back today to look for some more ideas. The blue sign that's on there, is that something that you're proposing, and what are you trying to advertise, or what are you trying to put on this sign that'll help the board understand what you're trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So that blue sign that you see on that photograph right there, that's from a prior existing business that is no longer there.
Okay.
That sign has been removed and it's back to the original, I guess you would say facade of the building of brick right there.
Okay.
The yellow sign, which I applied for, the intention of it is to advertise to pedestrian traffic as well as street traffic for people stopped at the light there or passing through that intersection. The items that we'd be advertising on the sign would be weekly specials, promos, if we have a band, something like that, something to bring some energy to the business, as well as just relaying relevant information to people. Because I did have it up. I was not under the impression that I needed to apply for a permit for it. And that's what I was using the sign for. The sign was up for more than a year, I believe, until I received the notice that there was an issue with it. And that's
Okay.
what we used it during that time for. Like I said, if we had bands coming in, say Friday night, we would have the band name on there. Friday at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., drink specials, food specials, stuff like that, as well as, just general comments, say that, there's holidays coming around, Merry Christmas, we'll be closed, have a great New Year, something like that. So that was the intention for the sign. The issue with the alternatives that were recommended is that I would say number one would be the sizing of it. For a sandwich board, I mean, anyone can put up a sandwich board. I'm familiar with them. I think everyone in town is familiar with them, or anyone that stepped foot into a business that's seen one out there. They're very common. They serve a purpose, but different from the purpose that I'm trying to serve with this sign. The shadow box, and again, I'm not sure if I'm using this correct term on it, but basically it's an enclosed glass case that we could also put, say, menus or other information, which you could put a flyer, maybe this is our month, these are the dates that this band is going to be here, or this specials that serves that same purpose. The only issue is that it's going to be so much smaller and it's not going to be as visible to pedestrian traffic, as well as completely illegible to people driving by.
Right. It seems like that's the difference, though. You'll need something larger for people driving by, but the pedestrian traffic should be fine. They would be fine with a sandwich board. I know that's not what you want, but they would be able to see that. And that's typically what you use a sandwich board for, is that daily special, and, not so much what's coming up as an event, but, what food special you're doing that day is what we've typically seen. So that's what we're up against. He's trying to advertise, upcoming events to his facility. And rather than fly into the face of those guidelines, that's what we're trying to figure out. How does he do that without the illuminated sign and that type of situation? We've had numerous electronic signs that we've had to not allow in to this district. And so now how do we do that? That's the challenge.
I guess I do have a question in regards to the sign. Is there particular attributes of the sign that is going against that historic guideline that is being referenced, such as the background color of the sign being yellow, or the backlit fact that it's illuminating, or the size of it, or the fact that it is off the ground on a table and risen above? Is there, because that would help me also understand, because I'm familiar with our layout and what is feasible for us to put up and what can also be beneficial. So I guess I'm also just kind of trying to look for the attributes of that sign that are deemed undesirable.
Okay. Somebody want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the backlit issue is just something that has come up in the past in terms of like a precedent. And then, our side guidelines reference like historic character, which that also becomes a little bit of an issue. I'm not sure with the shadow box sign how large we'd be comfortable with or entertaining that idea. I feel like that would be closer to something we want.
Mhm. A shadow box being something he could change easily or adjust easily.
Correct.
Now, did we do any electronic signs in this district that were restricted? They didn't have all the colors. They weren't like, I thought we had some black and whites that we were message boards type situations, but I can't remember. Right. So generally it's this whole thing's supposed to complement the historic district. You got historic buildings, the colors have to be historic. The signs are traditionally, identifying the business. And as far as, identifying what the business is doing, like pick something, selling apples for 25 cents. that's something that generally is not what this process is about. So we have to figure out, and it can't take away from the building with colors too. Like that yellow that's now the prominent feature. When you look, that's what you see, a big, board of yellow.
You advance so we could see his patio a little more. There we go. I'm gonna throw a suggestion out. And I think it would be approved, or at least more productive discussion. My opinion, that's not gonna go at all anywhere. But you have that beautiful fence surrounding your patio deck. And oftentimes you've seen it I've seen other restaurants where they'd have like a stainless frame rotating menu board or events board. It might be 18 inches, 2 feet high, and however many feet long that would be approved by the city. You could alternate what's happening. You could also do the corner, so you'd be covering both Washington Street and Hawley Street facades, or the back corner. I don't know what they call that, the commons. So you're actually using your fence as your signage with an application of like a frame enclosed, glass enclosed. I believe we could have illumination within the glass housing. I'm throwing out a suggestion, which might get you your ultimate goal here as compared to something I don't think you're gonna get.
Okay, I do have a question on that. Is there a limitation to the size of the lettering that would be inside of those?
The lettering, I think, would be less of a concern than the overall size of the sign, but that would go to planning. Who does signage? It comes to us for approval, but somebody has to.
Well, it's
There's
it's
dimensions.
it's got to meet the sign ordinance for the city. So that's back to planning or code. When you put in a sign permit, you get X amount of square footage of signage based on your building. So that's something that, lettering is not an issue.
Yeah.
But we're not even doing size. We just always make sure we tell you it's got to comply with sign ordinance from the city. So if he does something like that with a box, it'd be, we're not talking about going out and changing letters the old fashioned way. We can probably do something electronic
I would think
as
so.
long as the colors are not,
Barnum and Bailey Circus coming to town.
vibrant. You know what I mean? You don't want it, we're just trying not to take away from the historic building. That's the issue. So black and white colors or some kind of neutral colors that you can change electronically will be fine. And then that would solve, I think that solves the
And
issue.
it's not going to be a running around signs. They're kind of stationary. This is what we're doing this
right.
week. This is what we're
It's
doing
not a
next week.
flashing, it's not a constantly moving thing. You want to put up your specials that day or announce that a band's coming on Friday. That's what goes up there, stays up there, doesn't flash, doesn't roll, that type of thing. You can change it anytime you want, but it's a stationary sign.
Okay,
I
and are you
believe-
suggesting that would be LED?
Yeah, I believe we've approved a static LED for a church on Shenango Street.
That sounds right. I think I remember that.
Yeah, right. And we allowed that, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Because they originally wanted rotating and the little flashing dots. That's
Yeah.
not what we,
Right.
it's a stationary. Also, and again, not playing devil's advocate, you might go before the Board of Appeals for the dimensions of the sign. If you decide to adhere to the fence, you might possibly get a little bit longer if you ask for it. Can't promise what their decision would be, but if you don't ask, you don't find out.
Right.
And then you come back to us.
Do you have a signed company you're working with?
I've worked with sign companies in the past that I can reach out to.
Yeah, if they've been here before, they know what we're looking for. They've done something similar. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Does that help you? You think that'll do it?
Yeah, that helps. It definitely does. So there's no chance that this yellow sign is gonna go. Is from what I'm hearing.
Well, here's the thing. Can you imagine if every building did a yellow sign like that or throughout the historic district, what that would look like?
Well,
All you would see was yellow signs.
yeah.
So that's,
that
we,
could be said.
if we say for you, yes, the next guy's gonna come in and say, well, I love that. I'm gonna put that up. Pretty soon we've got 20 of them around the city. It just doesn't fit. That's the bottom line of it.
Then I
That
will,
size might work if you, when you check into the sign ordinance and what John's suggesting, it just sits down either, in front of your fencing. And then it doesn't block the view from your patrons either.
right, it would have to be mounted, correct? It's not touching the sidewalk. It'd be directly mounted to the fence.
And you'd have an ability of really drawing a lot of attention depending on how you did your framing for the sign. I mean, so you have a black or really dark green fence. You could do a stainless to give it some offset. You could do some other fancy ironwork to draw attention. A lot of potential to make the sign attractive and a draw for the business unto itself, and then the message contained within. Creativity.
Okay, so that
Yep.
help?
Yes, that is definitely helping.
So if you get something mocked up, certainly can turn it into planning. They understand exactly what we're trying to do, and you can get feedback from them, and when you get here next week, we can get something approved for you and keep you moving.
All right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you
We
very much.
want your business to succeed, right? Okay,
Thank you.
we are on your side ultimately.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You want this mic off or left on?
I'll leave it on.
You can leave it, thank you. 120 Washington Street. So you just come in and you get to go right to the front of the line. That is like perfect timing. So what we typically do, the staff will give us a little overview, and then we'll turn back to you and have you add whatever you think you want, and we'll ask you for your name, obviously, for the record.
The applicant Goldenrod's Studio Design has approved the installation of exterior lighting above the building's previously approved sign and storefront display windows. A rendering of the proposed gooseneck lighting is provided below.
So this application is the addition of the gooseneck. Because
Sign's been approved. It's with the lighting.
we've seen this before, right, okay, all right. Would you like to add anything? At least give us your name for the record. Then.
Amy Russell. Aaron Slavic.
Okay, and do you need to add anything to that? Okay, all right, thank you. Or,
Does anybody not like the addition of the goose next? Because I'll make a motion. I motion to approve the gooseneck lighting for Goldenrod Studios home as presented.
okay, second, please,
Second.
all in favor? Fine. All right, thank you,
Ladies.
Thank you.
that was record speed.
Have a good day.
You also do well.
Okay. All right, here's where we're going out of order in the agenda. It was 44 Court Street. I understand the applicant could not make it today, so we'll have that discussion at the end. And now we're at 138, 140 Washington Street.
The applicant is proposing constructing a new two-story prefabricated steel building.
Dylan, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just
Not
shout.
very loud,
There you
sorry.
go. Thanks.
The applicant is proposing constructing a new two-story prefabricated steel building with an outdoor seating area on a currently vacant parcel. Building would be approximately 62 by 32 feet, the height of 21 feet 9 inches. First story would be partially sided with red brick, and the remainder of the building would be sided with stucco on EIFS. The applicant states the color of the stucco would be red to match proposed brick. The roof would be a metal shed roof. The applicant provided swatches but has not specified the chosen roof color. Front of the building and adjacent to Washington Street, the applicant is proposing a 38 by 32 foot deck, resulting in a 38-foot setback from the street. Material and color of the deck have not been specified. The applicant states that balcony and deck railings, as well as the garage doors, will be black. Exterior lighting fixtures have not been specified. No rear elevation has been provided.
All right, so official business, my firm is involved in this process with the site plan, so I should recuse myself. So I need to make a motion to bring John as the interim chair for my recusal. Need a motion in a second. Okay, second. Okay, all in favor? John, your show.
Do you have papers on this? I don't have any documents. Oh, thank you. Okay. Give me just a sec. So we have the applicants present. Could you please identify yourselves for the microphone and
Yes,
It's an-
Michaela Fargnoli. Rich David and Chris Kazmarzik.
glad you're here. You want to say something about it or give us a
Yeah,
little
Rich is gonna take the mic.
Good afternoon, everybody.
afternoon?
It's nice to see everyone. I think many of you will recall that about 22 years ago, there used to be a building that stood at that location, and there was a fire on New Year's Eve, 2000, I believe it was. And for the last 22 years plus, there has been basically a vacant hole or pit in the ground. And over the course of the last several years, we've seen a lot of investment and development downtown, particularly on Washington Street. And I've owned that particular property for almost 15 years. And I had wanted to develop it for a period of time. Most of you know, or all of you know, I was the mayor of the city for the last 8 years, and I really precluded from developing or investing in properties that were in the city of Binghamton. Now that I'm no longer the mayor of the city, I'd like to turn my focus and attention to redeveloping some of the properties that I own in the city. This, in essence, has just been a boarded up vacant lot. Several years ago, we did fill the lot in with crushed stone to take it from being an empty hole in the ground to at least being filled in, and we worked with the neighboring building owners to shore up both sides to make sure that the weight of the crushed stone didn't cause any sort of pressure or damage to neighboring buildings. And I think if there's anything that you walk away from with this project, it is that it is our sincere desire to want this building to blend in with the neighboring buildings, to preserve and add to the historic character and integrity of neighboring buildings. And so, yes, we are proposing a steel building, but that steel building is in essence being hidden from view on 3 sides of the building, because there are 2 buildings on each side, and it butts up against really the Parlor City Commons and the rear ends of several other buildings, which are there's really no public access or public that is back in that area, other than a form of egress for neighboring buildings in the event of an emergency. It's not a public entrance or exit point, but it is an emergency exit point. So the only public facing portion of the building would be that of the front. And of course, we would also like to even wrap around on the sides. So if, as you're walking up and down the street, you might catch a portion of the side of the building near the front, we would like to cover that with red brick as well to match the neighboring look and feel of the buildings. And you'll also see there that we're proposing some garage doors consistent with other garage doors that have been approved in various locations downtown. We will probably mirror this garage door to the garage door that was approved right across the street at Craft, which is it's the color is black, but it's transparent. You can see through it. So we would like to mirror that. And as far as the color of the bricks that we would use would be, a blend of the nearby buildings as well. And anywhere that we need to show some paint on the front, we would be looking to a brickish red color to blend in with the building. And as stated, and as you can see there, there is a second story. The second story does not go through for the entire length of the building because there will be a slanted roof, but the front of the building will contain a small second floor, again, with a garage door sort of presence. And so the concept or style that's being pursued here is not simply just another, pub, restaurant, tavern in the downtown commercial district, but as we've kind of come out of COVID, try to utilizing more of outdoor space. And there seems to be a desire in many municipalities for some sort of combination of indoor outdoor space. And there is not a lot of that really in downtown Binghamton. So this building would be set back a little bit, and we'd like to utilize the portion of area closest to the road for the best comparison I could give would be a beer garden style type of project where you would have, the white lights similar to the white lights that the city just put up at the Metro Center area as part of that project, picnic tables, other decorative lighting, some landscape, greenscape, and utilizing the garage doors to have, open air and access and a balcony area so that it could be used year round. And we really think that it would add to the overall dynamic of what's really been a developing area of downtown. So that's the gist of conceptually of what we're trying to pursue.
Any comments from the board?
I have
Please.
some, the one part I appreciated what you explained, the setback and the black color choices. I think that helps present a more neutral, sort of inconspicuous frontage. And then even with the context of the steel structure, I believe, because I walked by there a fair amount. The Salvation Army building, I believe, has exposed steel on it. I guess those would be my two. The other thing with the roof being slanted away from the facade, if that is going to be a metal roof, which might not be, typical exposed, it's not exposed, I guess is what I'm getting at. So those are just a couple things I think are nice about the design.
Anybody else? Well, then I guess it's up to me to throw my 2 cents in. And I'm probably throwing it more at Ken than I am at you, or you, am I able to ask him a question? I like the look of the building. I think it's kind of nice, but I'm a balanced individual. And as we've got a 6 square door and window on the north facade of the building, what's the west facing? And we have a 4 square on the side with the door. Is the window above that going to be done in the same square pattern, just was left out for the diagram, or? Could we have a 5 and 5 of the door? Could we? do
So
something with-
on the second floor, I think that was done to show what a garage door or a solid window would look like.
So it's an either or.
It's an either or. Our desires, we were more into the open air.
Yeah, no,
We'd like to have is utilize the garage
so
doors.
aesthetically, and it's me, Rich, and you've known me for a while, so you understand I'm a balanced, if
Sure.
not imbalanced individual. I would like to see it more of a balanced facade with maybe the person door being centered or a double door there with matching dimensions on either side. I think it would be more pleasing aesthetically. I think it would maximize your street view for people going by to see people dining there. I actually like the building. It kind of reminds me of the old fire halls, and I think it's a really cool concept, But that's just aesthetics for me.
Right.
Other than that, I kind of like the building. My only other comment is that we're gonna have like a 3 foot 3'5", 3'6" gap on each side. I don't know if you abut the other building. I think a gate or something should be there, because we all know what people are gonna do late at night walking by. It's gonna become a public toilet, and we don't want that.
Yeah, we certainly agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my 2 cents worth. So what are we, is this a pre-approval? Is this an approval?
Right, we are seeking the approval today. That's my understanding.
We had a few questions regarding the lighting style, the exterior lighting, the deck material. And color choices for the deck. Did I hear you say it was gonna be black?
The, yes, the deck would be black and it'd be steel. My recollection is the balcony would be steel. And it would be black.
Okay, and the style, it would just be like straight. Is there a?
The style, so the only other balcony that I know of downtown, and it probably goes under the umbrella of it being a small city, is the one that I have that was approved, that was at my house on Court Street. So
Okay,
that was also approved by Caud many years ago. But it was, yeah, a black steel balcony. So we want to be consistent with other things that have been approved downtown.
okay.
You're gonna put some skylights in up top at all? I just think it'd be cool.
So we were talking about that. That's
Mhm.
something that we'll get into the design
Mhm.
with, but
That'd
we
be
thought it might be interesting where the second floor portion is, they have a skylight there.
I think it'd be really neat.
Yeah.
Be nice.
And the exterior lighting, do you have a style?
So what we're looking at right now is, because the lighting, the historic nature of the lighting downtown, we'd like to be consistent with the lighting of Washington Street and Court Street. And so we're looking for similar looking fixtures
Okay,
and structures.
okay, you said similar to the lighting that's hanging at the Metro Center.
So that was the description of the white, we would call them the white beer garden lights. I think they have them at the Stone Fox, I think, has similar white lights. There's those at the Metro Center. I believe Kraft has similar white lights over the sidewalk. So we think that anything that's already been approved,
Mhm.
we're kind of looking at what's already been approved as opposed to just what's out there, because we believe in consistency, and if it's already been approved and it's, you know, we like the look of what's going on downtown. We want it to blend in. We don't want it to be something different.
In terms of signage, will that be a separate approval?
Is that go through the ZBA? I'll come back for a sign. Okay.
And talk to Greg about,
Greg Beal?
yeah.
Okay.
And I don't mean to jump in, but is there going to be a rear deck or an exterior patio? Sorry, exterior patio in the back?
There will not be.
No.
Because
Okay.
we are, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was gonna ask Tito about that,
Mhm.
and I forgot about it. We are also requesting the 33% waiver for the setback on the rear side through, actually, you know what, I'm sorry, that's tonight. That's
Mhm,
why
that's
I'm at
plenty.
the wrong,
Yeah.
It's okay.
but you know, for
Fine, but-
information purposes, you may want to know that, so.
Okay,
Tonight we will request that as well, but so this is actually on the tax map, it's two separate lots, and we will consolidate those lots as part of the project. And there's a third lot behind it that was actually part of the Parlor City Commons at one point in time, and I purchased that as well. So we'll be combining all three, but we intend to go back and request the 33% variance. So that would put it basically, I believe, about 14 feet back from the building across the way, which is kind of consistent with where the footprint of the original building was. So we're not going to do anything on the rear side. Everything would be stacked in the front side.
okay,
And 100% of your drainage is going off the back. Ken's got that well in hand, right, Mr. Ellsworth? Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
that was good for me.
I haven't seen this before. It just, as you saw, was handed to me. I like what I'm seeing. Any more discussion? I don't rarely make motions when I'm sitting as chair, so I'm asking if there's a motion on the floor to proceed. Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion to accept as presented or with modification? Need the motion to go with the
Yeah,
motion.
I'll
Okay.
make a motion to approve the design at 138, 142 Washington Street as presented.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes. Thank you very much, guys. Wish
Thank you.
well.
Thanks, everyone, very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ken, are you standing down still or are you coming back on board? I'd make a motion to reappoint the illustrious Ken Ellsworth to resume his position as chairman of the City of Binghamton's Caud Commission. I know.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah, I ain't going on that wire for a second or two.
All right, well, I can be easily replaced, I think. All right, next on the agenda, Harriet Tubman Center of Binghamton University.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Staff, you're going to do a brief overview when you get ready.
The applicant, Harriet Tubman Center of Binghamton University, has proposed the installation of 18-inch by 24-inch aluminum plaques in downtown Binghamton at various locations, part of the designated Freedom Trail. Harriet Tubman and other abolitionists were active in the southern tier along the trail of the Underground Railroad. Yet there is not much in part of upstate New York to remind us of their inspirational legacy. Location of the Tubman plaque marker will be in the heart of downtown Binghamton at Binghamton's downtown campus by the Susquehanna River. The color used to be used for signs in Pantone 342.
Okay, thank you. Would you give us your name, please, and if you want to add anything to presentation?
Sure. I'm Ann Bailey, and I'm a professor of history at Binghamton University and director of the Harriet Tubman Center for Freedom and Equity. And this is one of my students and also a graduate student in American history, Nicholas Secco.
All right, well, welcome.
Mhm.
Do you want to give us any more detail, or do you think we understand? I think we understand what you're looking to do, but it's
Sure,
always nice to give a little bit more.
absolutely. Well, first
Can
of
I ask
all,
you
thank you
to,
for,
Sorry, can you pull the microphone?
can you hear
closer?
me? Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having us here today. We've been working, actually, a series of graduate students and myself and others at the Tubman Center have been working on the research on the Underground Railroad stops in our area. And it's more than just the Underground Railroad stops. It's also that our area, turns out, was just this incredibly progressive place, which was a site of anti-slavery conventions, to the likes of which people like Frederick Douglass and others, came to these conventions right here in downtown Binghamton. So we, in doing this research, and we did, use all the city's records, the city, the historian and others, so many people were very gracious in kind of sharing with us. And we did a lot of legwork ourselves in finding out exactly where those locations were. And as you probably know, Stephen Hand is one of the Underground Railroad conductors. His plaque is on the building, but that's essentially it. And we think that you could have more, but certainly another 11 or 12 markers, which in the spirit of Stephen Hand, the doctor who helped so many escaped slaves, not only find freedom, but also make a life here. And we just think this is something to celebrate, if you will, in the spirit of Harriet Tubman. It was her bicentennial last year. So there's a lot of good attention that could happen in terms of tourism and in terms of people wanting to know more about our city. And we're just hoping that the city and the mayor of the city, Mayor Krem, has been incredibly supportive. And I think he sees it as continuing to enhance the brand of Binghamton as a great place to live, work, and be. And it has been for a very long time.
Thank you.
Mm.
Comments from the board?
Where were you 5, 6 years ago when I was trying to save an Underground Railroad house? Finally got knocked down, had the railroad in front, had the tunnel going out the back, still in the cellar to the river. It was documented. Couldn't pull it off. Oh my God,
I know,
so sorry.
I know.
It was wonderful. That might also be another location for a plaque. It's on Shenango Street near the fire hall up there. Very cool. I don't know the exact address. And that being said, I just happened to live in a Union Civil War general's house here in town, who was the first Union commander to answer President Lincoln's call to arms at the outbreak of the Civil War. 86 years to the day that his same regiment fired the shot heard around the world, starting the War of Independence, and B. Jones of Binghamton. Though he was a Massachusetts regimental commander.
We would like to know more.
That's it. That's easy.
That's great.
I like the project.
Mm.
I like the project. I like your graphic design too.
Oh,
It's
do
great.
you? Oh, I'm glad.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I would just echo what John and Dan have said about the project.
Any comments, Dan? David, sorry.
No, I think it'd be a great addition to downtown. Certainly relevant to our history and said.
Mhm. Thank you.
Are we looking for a motion to
I
approve?
believe we are.
I would like to make a motion to approve the Harriet
John,
Tubman.
can I ask a question?
Please, I'm sorry, my dear.
That's okay.
This is the sign you're proposing. Would
Mhm.
this be located at all of would it be similar to this?
Exactly the same.
And you had, I gave away my copy. How many locations you had identified?
We've identified there are 13, although it's really 12 locations for an actual new sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
And each
Mhm.
sign would give a description of the property that used to be there?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to
Mhm.
clarify.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, my enthusiasm was so zealous. I would like to make a motion to approve what's our title here?
Downtown Freedom Trail.
Downtown Freedom Trail
Mhm.
as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Mm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, Thank
and I
you.
Look forward to seeing it up.
We hope that you'll be there for some of the launch.
Yeah.
the launch,
I like ribbon cutting
activities.
ceremonies. Good.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, back to discussion of 44 Court Street. Applicant is not here, so we cannot act on this. So, call from the last meeting, we were discussing meeting. It appears that this came back very similar to what was presented last month, only maybe a different color change or something. So I kind of want to talk through this and go through the similar of what we had to try to help them move forward when they do present to planning department. So from what I remembered last time, and fill in as you remember, we had two things. One was the background color was stood out too much. I don't know if we necessarily had a problem with the green, but we also, the proper term is what, Dan? Tablature. Okay, is that right?
I second entablature, yes.
I'm the engineer, so it's on a building. I don't know. So anyway, so that's kind of what we were having issue with. We typically don't like that covered, but yet next door has it covered, and I can't remember whether I was on the board, if that got approved or that just went up.
I don't remember that sign coming before us, and certainly I've been wrong before, but I don't remember it. The one thing that I noticed when I look at it is it looks as though the other sign is cased within the entablature, almost using the entablature for the framework, which I'm comfortable with. We do have two on the other side, which his presentation seemed to obscure. And And it'd only be a suggestion that perhaps he make the sign area one large entablature, encasing it like the one next door rather than covering it over. Or possibly break his sign into two separate signs above set into the entablature. That's an opinion again.
It's not a balanced building.
No, it's two separate buildings to me.
Yeah, but there's 3 squares on the one side.
Mhm.
That would be, I think, I like that suggestion. They'd have to figure out how to bridge in between the 2 squares in the center if they wanted it centered.
Could they make it one large entablature? I would be comfortable.
Within
and then-
within the dimensions of it is what you're
Yes,
saying.
all we're
Right.
talking about is taking the lateral post of the center 2 entablatures out and creating an extension to create one large center entablature. Pipe in anytime here now. Don't be
The-
bashful.
the
Y'all
other-
haven't met me. I'm not even warmed up yet. I'm just getting over something. So
The,
give me
the
another-
other suggestion I think we had last time was using the steel kind of lintel there.
Mhm.
It's, I think that,
No, that came up as another possible location because we've done that before as well.
Doesn't it have like an enamel finish across it or something? If I remember,
I don't remember.
I think the other confusion too, because there's 2 graphics that they're presenting. They have the Duke Food Market with like the blue sky and all the
Mhm.
little food items.
Yep.
And then they have the sort of I don't know what color to call it. It's like a tan yellow. And when I asked, they seem to present the first one as the one they were applying for. It's
That's
still in the packet, but I don't,
big one.
yeah, it's got like all the food items and everything. And that I
That's
would
not-
definitely say is,
This one's got a lot of color. like
Yeah.
rainbow, so that, I think we were shying away from that.
right, because even just scalability and, that
Right.
our guidelines say to be, simple as possible.
Less is more. All right, less is.
This is the one. Yeah.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
the one he's applying for, is this one.
All right, so what do we, the background is still kind of in your face. Do we have a suggestion for that? Something that obviously he wants it to stand out. It's almost like sometimes it can be reversed. I think we've done that before.
Yes.
Where the green is the background and the gold would be,
Yeah.
call it gold, would be the lettering.
Yeah, I think that the gold is almost too close to the coloring of the facade, and that makes it look a little awkward.
Yeah.
Like wearing 2 different shades of blue that are, one's green.
The sign for Friends Grocery next door is basically that brown on that tan. Like it's not doesn't pop at all.
Okay.
So those are I mean, he could present a different color scheme, or he could reverse the color scheme. We kind of want him to stay within the dimensions that's up there.
Yeah, I think he has to stay within the entablature and or modify it to its existing height. But possibly make it one.
Mhm.
I'm only dealing with the 2 center entablatures, not the extra little rectangles on the side. I don't want to see one 40-foot sign up there all of a sudden,
Right,
So it's got to be worded specific.
he can encompass the 2 in the center, and you probably could even get past bridging the 2 with the sign.
I think he could.
Right,
Because those things were put up there. They're not original to the building. They went up what? In
Yeah.
early 90s, late 80s, something like that when they redid it.
it's historic now,
Yeah.
40 years old.
What was the issue with the color? Just so I understand. I wasn't here last.
No, we're trying to not have it be the dominant color of the building. So we were thinking that if it was reversed, we've done that before
Okay.
with the green background and maybe a gold lettering. We're trying to stay as close.
We
to-
want to enhance, not detract. We don't want downtown suddenly to look like the Vestal Parkway.
Sure.
I call it like I see it,
And we haven't made signs stay with historic colors, but if you're painting the building, they have to, but
Yeah.
we've been pretty liberal with the colors, I think.
Can I ask a question just for clarification? So the sign would fit within one of those frames. I'm not sure what you're calling it. Or, because he's proposed it to go two.
We're okay with two,
Okay, as long as it's within the
within
exterior
the
border.
dimensions of that.
Got it. Okay.
Do we have any issue? If we have any issue with advertising,
Yeah. You know, in my mind, again, it should be, says food market, so obviously we know what we're dealing with. He's got good coverage for the business. I think he should, does he have a phone? Yeah, he's got a phone, he's got his address. More than that seems to be kind of redundant, plus he's gonna put all this stuff in the windows that we don't have any real say over, you know, cigarettes here, beer here. And if you can't figure out this man's selling food and snacks and groceries, ain't no little bit of lettering on top, up top gonna help you, especially with every other little grocery
Yeah.
downtown.
I do remember somebody. They actually said, and they told what was inside, but the outside pricing, and we said no.
No, because the price is gonna change. And the sign had never changed.
That's another suggestion, I guess, is
The phone number though?
You want phone, you want address. I think that's kind of important. No,
we're trying to shy away from
Yeah.
vegetables. What's, it's a food mart, so.
So
it
the
seems-
store name and the address is fairly typical for that
Correct.
area. I would just leave it at that.
okay.
Yeah, and reverse colors or come up with a different color scheme. Right,
I'd like to see what the green would look like as the backdrop. It's
right. It should pop. I mean, that's what he wants. He wants to,
Mhm.
Can you, John, I'm sorry, you said something about with millwork to match?
Yes, so we have the two entablatures.
Mhm.
I believe he could remove the two vertical pieces closest to the center.
Mhm.
He could actually take those and cut them up to create that little bridge of
On the top.
8 inches or whatever it is, top and bottom. It's going to be a picture frame for a sign.
Right.
And that's what's going to really make it stand out, unlike the one adjoining it, which it's got a brown frame, it's a brown sign, and you can't really tell where the one ends and the other one begins too much. It's kind of blah.
Okay. And did you decide the font was appropriate?
Font,
I don't
I'm-
think
I'm
we have
okay
a
with the
problem with font.
fine with me.
I'm gonna explain this all to him, so. We have to be clear. All right.
Sometimes it's helpful, like, I'm not familiar with a sign company. Sometimes it's helpful to talk to if you would have the sign company call you, they would understand better what you're asking. I think there's a disconnect there from what I saw last time. Yeah, these guys are from Brooklyn, so we haven't seen them here before. That would be my suggestion.
Do we know the material for the sign? Is this spray painted plywood or something, or what do we got?
It's adhesive vinyl.
Vinyl?
It's on that big sheet right there, isn't it? Yeah, aluminum frame.
Helps if I read.
Aluminum sheet on top of the frame,
Okay,
black
thank you.
molding around the sign, printed adhesive vinyl.
Okay,
Then you should ask him if he's gonna apply for lighting. At this point, I mean, I don't see why he would not. Because I have no idea how he's gonna illuminate this sign if he cares to, but if we're addressing it, let's get it addressed. And then I'd also want to find out if there was any approval for the sign next door. If not, they need to get in here.
okay. Anything more on this?
Any suggestions for lighting style?
I think the gooseneck lighting, very
gooseneck.
similar to what we did for the Golden Studios thing. That was stunning. That was the nicest lighting I've seen come in here in a long time. I mean, as presented, that was really pretty. Because I'd hate to have him put that sign up and then come back and, oh God, I want to put lights up. You know, you're already into the structure of the building. So much easier to do it at one time than
Yeah.
you might have to pull the sign off to find the electric lead or something to put it in.
Okay. Just a question. But
You need the applicant to return, or are you willing to approve with these conditions?
We need to see the colors sent back in. I would approve if the materials came in without them. I don't think we need them here, do we?
I don't think so. He was here once. I
Mhm.
think if he hadn't been here at all, then I would say, yeah, he's got to come back as our precedent.
Mhm.
But I think we could approve it with another. If you pass that, pass it around next time, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's submitted, I think we could, and so often I think it's a lot easier if they're not here. You know,
Okay.
Okay, so have them come back.
No, he doesn't have to physically come back.
Okay,
I
just-
just resubmit. Yep. And you can send that, for the next agenda, for the next agenda item. I just want to make sure on maybe other business. No minutes. Do we have minutes to approve? I didn't see him here.
we had them.
Do we have them?
They're there.
Okay, so I didn't do that. So I need a motion to approve.
Oh, I got a comment first.
Okay,
So it says present, it's got the 4 board members present, the absent or just, there's nothing there. I was certainly absent. My votes are done as abstentions. Couldn't abstain because I wasn't here. I just think the minute should reflect that I was
absolutely. Yeah.
not present because I can't vote on it.
So we'd make a motion to approve with the correction.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented with the corrections mentioned.
Okay, Second, all in favor?
Aye.
What's the date?
Glasses, where are you? January 10th. Juliet, do we need to acknowledge the sign guy not coming back or the procedure?
Yeah, we need to discuss it, and if it's something you agree to, then you would recommend city council approval. And if you don't agree to it, then it's scraps. So it's.
Well, I
so
agree
We're
to
into
it.
other business now.
Did you read the emails? Everybody get the email on like this guy not having to come back because he's presented? That we could go ahead and approve, which kicks it to city council to say that's okay or not, and this guy has to come back, or Mark Gennady has to come back each and every time, which he will anyway, or somebody else.
Okay, do you want me to read what we're,
Please.
okay. So the existing, this is in chapter 7 signage of the historic design guidelines. It states internally lit signs are generally inappropriate for historic buildings and districts. What we're proposing was to change that or replace that with, while internally lit signs are generally inappropriate for historic buildings and districts, illumination by light shining through stencil cut letters, preferably with a dark background, in a style considered appropriate or fitting to the building, will be reviewed by Caud on a case-by-case basis. Internally lit, plastic-based cabinet type box signs are not allowed.
Discussion on that? It makes sense to me. I just think it's a no-brainer, but
We did send it to Linda Mackey, I think her name is, Shippo. And she said, well, we require CLGs to submit proposed code amendments to us for review, but they don't require review of our design guidelines. She said, but we are fine with this language as proposed. So we did not need their approval for changing our guidelines. But they
Want to
did
be in the
approve
loop,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, they're fine with it. And at least 3 other communities have similar type language. I think it was Saratoga, I don't remember. I have the list though.
Okay.
But we pulled it from other community design guidelines to see how they were handling it.
Right.
So.
I think, I mean, that was from my point of view, to get their input was important.
Mhm.
We ended up not approving something that then the building that they may have.
Right.
So, okay, so a case by case basis, we're not setting ourselves up for a problem later on. It's individual, right?
That's what I understand.
Um. Change, does that now make,
Well, we
you
would
still have
take,
other issues?
that was the issue. That was it.
Okay,
But we would take this change to city council if you recommend it. And then they would vote then to modify our historic design guidelines. And if they vote to make that change, I suggest we have Mark come back and review 45 Lewis after that change has been approved.
because we officially have not approved it.
Correct.
Okay, all right, I understand. Okay. So we need a motion for that to recommend to city council.
I would make a motion to recommend to city council the approval of the amended sign guidelines that as presented.
Okay, second,
Thank
Okay,
you.
all in favor? Great,
Okay.
okay.
All right, I will get it on city council's next agenda.
Okay, any other business, board, any other comments?
I've got a quick question. Noma's moved from that beautiful Italianate house on Walnut Street to the Congregational Church. We know what's going on with the house. I saw some U-Haul trucks there. And just, is it a local landmark? Do we know? Sean had talked about it a little bit, but I never remember seeing it come up
I
for
don't remember.
designation and think we should.
I would have to look that up. I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Okay, I'd kind of like to keep an eye on it before something else happens or, you know, God forbid they sell it for student housing or something.
I don't believe we've seen any applications for the reuse of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just curious because it's.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
For March's meeting, I'm on my way back from DC.